Hi, everybody. Thank you for the word, Harris. And yeah, the event, the City.js conference in London, like even it was online, was really nice, and I can encourage you to check it out. So if you never heard about or you never saw it, so there was like a few pretty awesome talks, and even the online venue was very, very cool. But let's back to my talk and why I'm here today. So as I said, my name is Snopko, and I'm going to talk today about the Next.js and how we are going to build basically a website from scratch with a headless solution. And headless solution will be the Storybook in this case. And it will be fast and furious. So probably if you know a thing or one or two things about the Next.js, it will help you. But even if you don't know anything about the Next, it's okay, because it's a JavaScript framework and you should be able to understand everything what I will be showing. So first slide, of course, is something about me. So who I am. I'm this. My name is already like on the screen, and I stole it. I'm the head of the developer relations at Storybook, and I'm also like big community believer. And I was like working on living in Germany, helping to different communities and like also the meetups, and then also like kind of a Next.js. So I'm like kind of ambassador of the Next.js. I'm a big fan of it. And why I think like ended where I'm ended, it's also like I was always like doing a front end, and I was very, very interested into the design. So bridging the gap between the developers and the designers. And I think like with the headless approach and atomic design, which is also like part of the headless decoupled approach, is the reason why I'm where I'm in at the moment. But that's enough about me. Let's jump to the talk. We are not going to do a lot. We are a lot of slides. We are going to just go for light coding. If you want to follow me, and if you want to follow what I'm going to do, we can follow this GitHub link here at storybook/talk blazing fast the Next.js. I just updated it like a few minutes ago with the latest release from the Storybook Next bridge. So this is the first time you will also be able to see the version 2 in the preview or in the talk. So how to start with the Next.js? That's the first big question that everybody should ask. And I'm always answering like use the yarn create next step or npm create the next step. You can build your own like starting point or like starting scenarios, but this is the best way you can do, because like the Next and all the modern technologies are developing so fast that they have like every time like new versions, and you just can't get you cannot be all the like on the edge. So here you just like choose your name. I'm still going to for JavaScript, and then package manager will be like yarn in this case, and I'm going for a tailwind. So let's choose a tailwind. Of course, we will need Axios, which is already installed, and Axios, of course, needed for the communication between the Storybook, the headless CMS, and the Next. So I'm going to choose that. At this moment, we are not going to choose any linting tools, because it's for the purpose of this talk, it will be like just making everything more complicated. So no testing also. We are, of course, going for the server-side rendering or static site generation, so universal in this case. And I would go for and recommend you go for the JAMstack, or if you want to deploy to Vercel, Netlify, or any other third-party services. As I'm using the VS Code, I'm also going to use a JS config. And after this setup, and adding also like your GitHub name and basically control system, you will be added or like get it to the project like this. So here it's exactly what I did. Is the next step is this repository. Here in this repository, I already started the yarn dev. So you can see it's my local host running. Then all this I do just because I want to save some time, because otherwise this presentation will be even more than 40 minutes. First of all, what we should do is check out our local host. So let's check out if everything is running okay on the local host. And as you can see here, I see my welcome screen from the localhost. And basically my application is ready to be deployed to the Netlify or Vercel. So I can just start deploying if I would like to. But of course, this is just a static website that is built directly in the Next.js here in the index.js. And this is basically the welcome screen from the Next team, where you can go to documentation on GitHub. So what else? What is the next step we need to do? The next step we need to do is basically going to Storybook and somewhere create our content. So, and the question is like how we can create the content. So we are going to use a Storybook in this case, and I'm going to create everything from scratch. So let's imagine that I just registered to Storybook and I have a new account here, and I want to create a fresh new space. So I'm just clicking on the create new space. I'm choosing a new space, and then I'm just adding here some name. So just don't do a lot of typos. I'm just will be copying a lot of stuff from my cheat sheet on the left side. And here you can see that I'm just creating a new project. And of course, I have reached the limit of all of the plans. So this is because I have like too many demos. So give me a second. I just in live stream, I will remove one demo space, and then I can create a new one again. In this case, I have here also the talk basically fast, the Nuxt.js. So here you can see that I just entered the Nuxt space, the space of my project. And in this project, you can see that I have some options. Of course, one of the options is that I can go to the content where you can already see the final stage of the project that I would be building before your eyes. But as we cannot, I cannot create a fresh space at the moment, I have to do this. So now here in the home, if I click on the home, I'm entering the empty space. And I see here also my local host. And why do I see here the local host? It's because I already connected my local host in this preview space. So how does it exactly work? So here in the settings, the first thing you have to understand is like, if I remove this local host environment, then I will see nothing here. So let's change this to the empty URL, or just do a Google URL that we have kind of fresh start. Let's go to the content and show you that here is an iframe where I can show different pages. At the moment, I'm not showing any page. And why I'm not showing any page is that I want to recreate the whole experience for you from the fresh start. So what is the next step? The next step, and I'm now a little bit improvising, I'm looking what I should show you, is to preview a sample content. So the sample content here on the homepage is, I could see here on the right-hand side, I have a teaser and grid. And this is the visual part. So here in the teaser, I can start editing my content. So I have hello world. I can do like hello JS monthly. I can go back. I can also like change the features in my grid, but I don't see any preview in my visual editor. So theoretically, I could like hide also the visual editor and just enjoy just the form view of my website. I could also like already like save this content, and I could already publish this content. So I would get like draft JSONs or publish JSONs that are available to me through the API. So in this case, if I would open like the draft JSON, you can see the draft content of your space or of your project that you would get, and according to this content, you are able to use Next.js or any other framework to render your website. Pretty simple, I think. So, and this is, I also like, I think it's quite straightforward. So what I did now that I make this working, so I don't get here like just a random error. So what I need to do here is like go to my localhost, and I want to show their localhost. So I have a localhost, and to show their the localhost, which you already like saw, it's just I need to go to my settings and change the preview environment here to localhost. And the localhost, this can be any any URL. I can even also create like multiple preview URLs. So here I could like have like development location, and I could also have a production. So like this. And now if I save it, by default, I should see the content of the localhost, but this could be also like the Netlify or Vercel URL. And then if I go here to the home page, I see my localhost. Great. This makes sense, but there is also one catch I'm always showing is that I'm here already overriding something, because I have here this real path, and if you remove this real path, which is just override for my homepage, then I should get also like error here. But as at the moment, you can see that I am getting still the home. If I open it now, I get a next error. And why I'm getting this next error, and this is also like important if you are trying to recreate what I'm doing today, is that here the Next.js at the moment doesn't know the Slack home. So I will get to that also in a second, because in the next project, I have only index.vue. So basically that's the empty slash. So that's why we have a way to override our visual editor. And to override the visual editor, you can change here the real path to the slash, because the home should be always like named somehow. So if now I reload, I should see my localhost. I see my localhost. And why there is a name home is that because in the Next.js, if I would like to request this content, I need to ask like, hey, give me the content of the home. Great. So let's, at the moment, as you can see, we have a content here, which I can get through the JSON or REST API or GraphQL. But in the case of Next.js, we are going to use a REST API. And We already also integrated that we have our preview. So we don't need to have a special localhost tab here because we see our localhost directly in the Storybook app. Great. But we still don't see what exactly is that. So we don't preview the content from the right-hand side, from the content editor. To do that, we need to do one small thing. So we need to install packages. I already installed them, but to make it easy for you, I just show you to it also. So what we need to install is the Yarn Storybook Next module. So it's like Yarn at Storybook Next. And the Storybook Next module will, it's already created by the Storybook team. And this is also like updated like 2 weeks ago. So we have like newest version, like major update. And we are updating all of our tutorials at the moment. So some of them still are using the version number 1. So, and now if I go to Yarn Dev, I can start also my project. So what's happened here is that it was added to the package.json, my Storybook Nuxt 2.01. And then, of course, if I go to the config of the Nuxt.js, I can also use the Storybook Next module. And I can use the Storybook Next module to connect Next project to the Storybook. So here in the modules, I am going to uncomment this code where I am like configuring the Storybook Next module. And as you can see here, I need my Storybook space token to access my data. So let's get the Storybook space token. So to get a Storybook space token, I need to go to the settings of my space. And here in the API keys, I can see that this is my preview token. So the preview token give you the draft version of the data, but you of course can also create a public token, which would give you the published data. And you can create so many tokens as you need. And you can also like this way create the tokens for different environments, like if you have like redesign environments or stuff like that, and to keep track where and which were used. So let's copy this token and let's go back to the next. So I'm going to add it directly to the config.js, but I'm not recommending to do it in your projects anytime soon, because if you would do this, it's all also like published or like it's going to do your Git repository, and then everybody will like see it. So use .env file for that, as I have here. So if I would open a .env file, I would save my Storybook token, of course, here, and then I would load it directly as is recommended by the Next. And then also you can save it in Netlify or in the web versa and use it as it should be used in a secured way. I kind of connected the Storybook with the Next.js. But if I go to the content and open the home, I still see only the index page and the original one. So I still don't see my content. So if you see the teaser, there is like Hello.js monthly, and I don't see that. And even here in the grid, I have a features, and I also don't see those features. What I need to do is to create a component, because you can see here on this page, which is a custom page created by me for just this demo, and I have an attribute called body, which contains some components, and I can see all of my components in the component section of the Storybook. So here are the components. I see that I have already an article created. I created even a new component, so not only the default one, which is page, teaser, grid, and feature, but I have an article and featured articles. Let's forget for some time the article and featured article and focus on the basic ones. So here we have a teaser, which contains only a headline and it's type text. So nothing special, just a component called teaser, which have one property or one field headline, and you can write the text there. Then I have a feature, which is also here, just a component called feature with one property or one field called name with type text. Then I have here a special component called grid, or like special. It's not a special component, the component with a special field columns. This is also the name of the field, and the type of this field is a blocks. And blocks means that you can nest or use in this field any other components, any other nestable components. Because in Storybook, as you could see already, we have two types of the components. The one are the content types. The second one are the nestable components. So the nestable components are basically the components that can be nested in other nestable components or other content types using the special field type blocks, as you can see on this grid. So here I can have a field called columns, which is type of the blocks. I can nest here any other nestable component, but I can set also some some rules, like allow only specific components to be inserted, and I want to allow here to be added only the features, for example. And then I will just save the schema of my component, and then I just edit the component. And then I have a content types, and I need at least one content type to create a content, because I need to create entries or stories, how we call them in the story block. So here in the page is a content type, and the typical content types are like article page, author page, landing page, home page, etc. So it's like types of the pages, but it doesn't have to be always a type of the page. It can be of something that is not represented by a website. So for example, an author that is a reference on different articles. And here this page is using the same approach as the grid. So here I have a special field called body, because we have a body on every website or every page, and it's type blocks, and I can use their grid, teaser, or featured articles. So let's remove the featured articles for now. Just keep it a little bit fresh. And now I set up basically my structure. So if I go to the content and open the home, I can click add a block, and I can see that I can choose from the grid and teaser to create something new. I can even like select my teaser, I can duplicate it, and I can do this stuff, but I still don't see the preview. And I want to see that preview. So what I need to do is that I'm now delivering the content through the JSON API. REST API, and that you can see it also here, that I'm delivering like a body, which I already explained, which is an array of a component. So here is one first component, and there is like second one or list of blocks, and the first one is a component type teaser with the text headline JS Monthly. So exactly what you see here, a text hello JS Monthly, and this is the teaser in the page. Great, but we don't have that same thing in the Next.js. So I didn't create my components still in the Next.js, and that's the reason why I cannot render them. So it's quite logical. So let's do that in the Next.js. So what I need to do now is just go to the components folder and show you that I have those folder components here. So you can see here, I have a teaser component, which is very simple for the viewer. So I'm just expecting a prop called block, which is an object. And using this block props, I will get all my data that I want to render. Here, I'm just using a little bit tailwind styling to basically style H2 with I am going to render my headline. So block.headline, and this is how I'm going to get the content. The same goes for the feature. So I have basically a simple block prop where I have expecting block, and then I have a very simple div, which where I am going to render a H2 with the name. The grid is where it's get a little bit more complicated, because I'm still getting my data through the block, but in this case, I don't know what is the content, what components I added to the grid. So, and because of that, I am rendering a list under the list of items or list items, and these list items can be a different dynamic components. In the Vue, we have this dynamic component which can be used, and all you need to do is use the special attribute is, and where if this is equal a teaser, you will render a teaser, because I have here the teaser. If this would be equal the feature, then you will render a feature. So what is this block.component exactly? Is what I showed you already in the published JSON here, that this is the this is the object block basically, and here this component equal teaser is what will be the block.component. So here the block.component will return exactly this value teaser, and then I know that I should render a teaser. And then I also send down the stream all the other content. So okay, that's doing the grid, and almost the same approach as for the page, where I'm also like dynamically rendering the body. So here you can see that I'm looping through the body. So I'm looped through the block.body, where I have order of all of my components on the page, and I'm just rendering them straightforward. Quite easy. So what I need to do is, of course, all of my components here are basically dynamic. So I have to tell the Next.js to what components I will be rendering. So I cannot use the components true, which is one of the basic features of the Next right now, but I have to like literally say to Next.js, hey, expect that I will be rendering these components, and that I will be doing using the plugin. So the simplest way, there's like multiple ways how to do this, but the simplest way you can do it is using the plugin in the Next, and it's you just create a file called component.js, where you import and register your component. So here you can see I'm importing all of my components that I just explained, and also like I'm registered them in the Vue, that Vue knows that, okay, I need to render these components. And the last thing I need to do is going to the next config and also like load this plugin. So here in the plugins, if I scroll up, I should uncomment this line, save it, and I need to wait a little bit that this project will be rebuilt. And then we could and should see also like update. So close this. Let's see reload here. And let's wait a second. Let's see if it's already built. And is there any update? And the answer is no, there's no update. And maybe some of you already noticed that there's like makes sense why we don't see any update here. And it's easy. I registered all the components. I show you how to do, what are the components doing, but I didn't load the data in the Next. So what I am talking about. So here we right now see an index page. And this index page here in the view, it has this code, and we didn't change any of this code, so we never loaded anything from the Storybook. We just connected it, but we never said like, hey, I need the content of the index page or of the home. So what we need to do now is basically remove all this original code from the Next team. So here, this code, I just remove this, and then I don't need to anymore show the Next logo. So I'm going to also remove this. I'm going to uncomment my code, which I will get back in a second to tell you something about that. And then I need to save it. So, and that's it. So what I did here is like, okay, I don't know like what kind of content type I'm going to render. So here I have a dynamic. I could replace it directly by the page, but if I would have like multiple content types, then I need to like decide that. So here you can like story.content component should tell me like which content type I'm using at the moment. So if I go here to the publish JSON, and on the bottom, we should see a page. So this is the page. So the story. So if I close now with this body, then I have the story content component as exactly story content component that returns the page. And I'm rendering this page. Where are you? Here, this page. Then what I'm doing here in the script part of the story block is that I'm going to prepare my content, so kind of like fake data, just empty story, and then I'm going to load the data. So I'm going to load the data using the asynchronous function at the moment. And here you can see that I'm already having something installed on my story block using the Storyblock Next module, and on the app I have a story API. So I now can ask using the story API for a different content from the Storyblock. So here I am saying like, hey, please get me the home story of my API, of my content. So what is this home? So this home is basically, if I go back to the story block, is it from this content, you can see that this is named a story called home with the slug home. So I'm requesting this home. This is something that I do at the moment statically. I'm asking for a draft version, and I will get back to the resolve relation in a second. Of course, this is something you wouldn't do in the real project. In the real project, you would like find out through what is the full slug or the slug that you want to request using the context of the path. So from the context, you can get the path of your current website, and using that path, you know, like, oh, okay, I want to get maybe an article number 1 from the blog folder. You also like sometimes want to have a draft version and sometimes a production version. So they're simple to decide, like depends on the architecture you choose and how you build your project. But the simplest way is basically to decide from the context if you are like in the dev mode in the Next or not. So here you can see like in the dev mode, I'm asking for draft version, and if not, then I'm asking for published. Right? So here I'm just always asking for draft version and always statically for the home. Great. So if I now save it and open the home, then I see live preview. I see my content. And it's showing exactly what I have here, but we can do it better because we have a modern framework, and we would like to have to redeploy, basically rebuild my website all the time. I want to see a preview of the new content. So, and to prevent this, we have also an event using the Storyblock Next. We brought also the Storyblock bridge, and this the Storyblock bridge you can create basically an instance of the Storyblock bridge. And is this correctly wrote? Hopefully, yes. So where I am going to listen for input event and publish event and change events. So if I save this and wait if everything is recompiled in a second, yeah, it should work, and reload this, then you see already an outline here. So as I'm like moving my arrow mouse, you see outline. And now the Storyblock is even able to identify which components represent on your website, because this is your website on localhost in the content editor. And even if I'm using the content editor, you can see the outline of those features. So if you're going to features, then you see that I have even all like highlighting the features. And not only that, if I click on the Hello.js monthly here, then I am also opening the Hello.js monthly here, and I can start editing. Like, is this cool? So I can basically do a real-time editing without hitting the save button here or publish. So I'm not redeploying anything. I just have the real-time editing experience. I can go here. I can like drag and drop the stuff. I can select the stuff and copy paste the stuff. I can go here and copy paste like the whole content and copy paste, add it here. And then additionally to that, we have the latest features we did is that if I now go and click here on the, for example, on this component here and move backwards, then I have also this context editing, basically where I can like choose what I want to do, or maybe like I want to block after, and then I just add a grid, a new empty grid is added. Then I can like accelerate experience with my content. And this experience is something which all the content editors looking for, because it's something that you are almost into the page builder, but this is not a page builder. Like this, all the developers have all the features they need, but the content editors and the marketers are happy that they can experiment with the existing components and build the new website very quickly. They can like preview them. And then if they are happy with it, they just hit the save. And after that, the component is safe. And then if the publish, the webhook is triggered and everything is deployed. And of course, if as you see that this doesn't work great on the mobile, then probably I should go a version back. So let's restore the original version, which was much nicer. So great. But still, I didn't create anything fancy. I just show you the basic getting started. I loaded something and I render it. I send it to the blog. And now the question is like how, there are two questions, like how works this bridge? So the bridge works using the, only in the draft mode, because we are adding into the draft.json a special property. And then of course, what you need to do in the page, and some of you may already notice that, is that we are adding this special Storyblock v-editable block where we can, thanks to this, we can identify the components into your website. And this is something which already, of course, you will strip away from the production. So the production will be still so performant as always. Great. But let's create something new. Let's create a new components from scratch, because we have still a little bit time and we should create something. Like let's create an article. And what is the power of the headless CMS in general also? Because the power of the headless CMS is also that you can create and set up your content without needing to build anything in the front end. So here, for example, I would normally create this from scratch, but as I wasn't able to create a new space, here I have an article. And this article at the moment, I already added there a hero image, title, intro, outro, and prose. So the hero image is an asset, of course, of type image, and no special rules. Then I have here a title, which is a simple text and will be used for title of the article. Then I have an intro where I will write my intro text, or maybe a text that will be shown in some teasers. And then I have an outro where I have multiple options how to choose outro. I can reference them from existing fields or external sources. But now I choose a single option or drop down and define my outros directly here as a source. And the last is, of course, I have a prose, which I choose a rich text editor, and I could like customize the toolbar, but I'm not going to do that because we will anyway not use it. So this is what I created, an article, like definition of an article, which is a content type. But I don't still have anything built in the Nuxt.js. I don't have a template in the Nuxt.js or like a component called article. And so if you keep it in mind, normally I would be blocked. I couldn't like really create a new stuff, but here I can just say to my content is like, hey, let's create a new folder for you. So I just created a new folder called articles, and you can start editing the articles. Because if I'm just going to create a new article, so let's add a new article, like article number 4 probably. I can save it and a new article is added, but there's like no page to preview. And for this reason, exactly, you can use the form view. So, and now I would be able to like upload my, like let's choose some image. I have like here a number. Then I could like cool title, and let's add some text, something like building your Vue.js application, so something from the Nuxt.js website, and I will be the author. And normally then I could also write here the prose. Of course, you could like build it also from the different component, but let's imagine the simple solutions for the article as this. Now save it, and I could publish it. And I did basically the same for the other article. So I have here the article number 4, where I have some pictures with some text. Then I have here also the second with some text, etc. So, okay, I created the articles. And now I can already use those articles still without any front end, because I can go now to the homepage and I could like love to feature those articles down here. So how to feature them, as they are already featured here. But let's imagine I didn't create this special feature here. So how to create it is basically I would go to component and I would create a featured articles component. And this featured articles component would have a defined title. So here you can see like in the title, you can like rewrite the title, for example, but let's don't do that for now. And then we have option to reference stories directly from Storybook, where I said like, okay, I want to handpick a multiple articles that would be featured on the homepage or in this component. And I want to choose only the articles or restrict only to choose articles. So it will be choose from article folder and it will be stories existing already in this space. So great, I can do that. Now, if I go to content and open the home, I can already add, I cannot add my featured articles because I, of course, didn't allow that. So now I need to go to the body of the page, of the content type page. I'm going to open and change the schema of the body, because in the body I whitelisted only the grid and teaser. So now I'm going to allow also to add a featured articles. I'm going to save it, and now I can see that I can add a featured article also into my page. Or it's better to say into my content, because it doesn't matter. You could also use it to generate not only a page, but also like an application or a mobile app. So now here I would write like probably like featured articles, as would be the title on the website. And now I just going to choose some of the article. Let's choose this 3. So now I could like save it. And I could even like publish it, but still I don't see any preview because I didn't create it still any front end for it. And if I go to the publish JSON, then I see that here is like added new content. So here is the featured articles component, IDs of my articles, and with the title that I just wrote. Great. So this works. So let's fix the stuff on the store in the Next. So in the Next, as you can guess, I already prepared. So I just close these tabs that it's not confusing. I already created a featured articles component, and featured articles components do the same thing as always. So expect to get some content through the block property or prop, and then renders a little bit more HTML with a little bit Tailwind styling, where it renders a title, right? Added some yellow background, and then it's rendered under the list of the article teaser component. So as we are sending and we are creating from our content type article, we are going to use it only to render article teaser. And then in this article teaser, we just sending the article.content as the content, because we are here also looping through all of our articles. So blog.articles. So we are basically looping through this, where we have at the moment only UIDs, and I will tell you how to change it to something better than UIDs in a second. And then we just render the content we gather. So now I need to, of course, register my components. So let's do that in the component.js in plugins. And it should be already rebuilt. And let's look here. And we already see like previews of our articles. And we see picture. We see also Storybook, the title and everything, the text and even the authors. But we didn't ask for that content. And still, I didn't show you the content here. So like you can see also like the pictures are a little bit like scaled down or like cut it. And that's because like in the article teaser component here, you can see like we did a resizing of the image. So we even use the Storybook image service to resize the image to 300, 250. And then we used it here to the image. And of course, we rendered the title, intro, and the outer. And that was it. It's like nothing more complicated. And now I can do all the real-time editing. So I can like show only selecting, like I can start reordering them. And you can see that this lady, for example, on the bicycle, will now move on the last place. So I can like reordering, I can like unselect and select the first one, then the fourth one, or like I can select this fourth article, but it doesn't work. So let's do this. And how does it work that my UIDs is instead of sending the UIDs or showing, I am getting the real content. That's something I did in the index page. And the index page, you could see this resolve relations attribute. This resolve relation attribute basically just say to Storybook, and if you are like have a component called featured articles, and there is a field called articles, please don't send me in the real time, in the real world, the UIDs, send me the content. So here we just say that to the Storybook instance. So like that updates, live updating. And also I did that here in the asynchronous data request. So the same thing. And then I get a real content. And the power of this is that now I have a featured artists component, but I can very simple like copy it, add it here, for example, change the title to Sam's article. Then I remove the first Storybook is cool. So that's, if I'm correct, it's this one, and choose this. And now I see basically I use the same component and I see only the Sam's articles. So I can reuse very quickly. I can experiment. I can save, publish, preview, and do that stuff all over again. And I'm not blocking. Like the content editors are not blocked. The marketers can play with that, and also the users or the developers are happy about it. So, and that was it. That was the demo. And now I have like 3 more slides, and we are done. So, if you want to finish it and build even like better website, like with proper navigation menu, featured like headline, hero area with some footer, etc., and the multi-language, just go to the storybook.com/tp/Nuxt.js multi-language website tutorial. You will find it. I can send you also the links later. Then of course, the good question is like where to start in general with Nuxt.js if you are also new to Nuxt.js, and also with the Storybook, or in general the approach of the headless CMSs. So for that, exactly for you, we have a Storybook Nuxt page. So you go to storybook.com/tc/Nuxt.js. You should end on the page like this, where you get a lot of information, like from getting started to how to create a multi-language, how work the module, even like from the basic topics to videos, how to build the e-commerce, advanced topics to even like 7-part tutorial, how to build your own Vue block or Vue.js block, if you are familiar with, and cheat sheet, samples, etc. The same thing we have also for other technologies like Next.js and Gatsby, and for even other technologies we don't have like so powerful technology hubs, but we still have a lot of tutorials. So just go there and double check it. It's storybook.com/technologies. And the last slide I have is that I am usually like always saying I am the dev role. So I'm the pretty face of a cool tool which is built by a big team behind it. So I would like to thank you, not only you and all the people that give me opportunity to speak, but also to people behind the Storybook who are building this on daily basis. Also all the whole team of Nuxt.js, because without these people, it wasn't be able to build such cool stuff that we have today. So thank you very much, all of you. And now it's probably the time for Q&A, and I'm very, very thankful to you. And I hope you enjoyed, even if there was some struggles on the beginning.